Good evening. Welcome to this special edition of the 8-Hour Workday. This is the 8-Hour Workday with Rex Haymarket, where every crisis somehow becomes your bill and their bonus. Tonight, the Democratic Party has discovered a terrifying new threat.
Not Donald Trump, not inflation, not medical debt, not rent, not the slow-motion ritual of watching your grocery receipt turn into a ransom note.
No, the new threat is candidates who keep asking why normal people are broke. Graham Platner in Maine, Abdul El-Sayed in Michigan, Cori Bush in St. Louis, different races, different candidates, same panic. The media calls them too left, the establishment calls them risky, the consultant class calls them unelectable.
And the donor class quietly asks if anyone can please get these people away from the microphone.
But Rex has a simple question, risky to whom? Because when a candidate says healthcare should not bankrupt you, that is called radical. When rent eats half your paycheck, that is called the market. When a billionaire buys influence, that is called free speech. When a worker asks for power, that is called unrealistic. And when a politician says maybe the system is designed this way, suddenly everyone in Washington remembers the word electability. Let's start in Maine. Graham Platner is a Marine veteran, oyster farmer, and political outsider running for Senate. He was not supposed to be the easy story. The establishment had Janet Mills, Maine's governor, a familiar name, a safer choice, the kind of candidate Washington understands. But then Mills dropped out, citing a lack of campaign funds, while Platner had built real grassroots energy and outraised her in the most recent quarter. That was not just a campaign story. That was a warning light on the dashboard. Because voters are not just rejecting one candidate, they are rejecting a style of politics. The old Democratic message sounds like this: the economy is complicated, change takes time, be realistic.
Vote harder, donate again, trust the people who brought you here to get you out.
But the new left, the paycheck left, is saying something much simpler. Your bills are not an accident. Your boss has power because policy gave it to him. Your landlord has power because policy protected him. Your insurance company has power because policy feeds it. Your debt is not just personal failure. It is political design, and design can be changed. That is the real fight. Not left versus moderate, not socialist versus sensible, not online versus offline. The real fight is donor comfort versus voter desperation. And voter desperation is getting harder to manage with a focus group. Now let's talk about Abdul El-Sayed. His campaign message is not exactly subtle. Get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all.
That is not a mystery novel. That is a receipt with a campaign logo.
And when he appears with Hasan, Piker, the media and political establishment know exactly which part to obsess over. Hasan, the streamer, the controversy, the clips, the outrage, the hot takes, the whole glowing content machine. But Hasan is not the story. Hasan is the signal. He is what happens when a generation looks at cable news and says,
"No thanks, I already have enough people lying to me and better lighting."
Young voters did not grow up inside the old media trust machine. They grew up with debt, rent panic, climate dread, endless war, a healthcare system that turns illness into paperwork, and a political class that treats every material problem like a branding issue. So when candidates go to streamers, podcasts, campuses, Discords, TikTok, Twitch, and alternative media, the establishment hears danger. Young voters hear access. That does not mean every Hasan clip is a campaign platform. It means the old gatekeepers do not control the room anymore, and that terrifies them. Because once voters stop asking permission to be angry, politics gets very expensive for the people selling patience. And this is where the money comes in, because the pocketbook left is not dangerous because it uses the word socialism. It is dangerous because it asks who profits from your pain. Medicare for all threatens the health insurance business model. Stronger labor rights threaten low-wage business models. Affordable housing threatens landlord politics. Taxing billionaires threatens wealth concentration. Getting money out of politics threatens the consultants, PACs, lobbyists and donors, who have turned democracy into a subscription service. That is why the establishment does not usually argue the bills are fine. They know the bills are not fine. They just argue that the people most willing to confront the bills are too risky. Cori Bush is another version of the same story. She is running again in Missouri's 1st congressional district, framing her campaign around St. Louis families squeezed by rising costs, broken systems, government abandonment, and billionaire-backed politics. Now, you can like Cori Bush or not like Cori Bush. That is not the point. The point is that every time a candidate directly names the money, the conversation magically becomes about tone. Too angry, too divisive, too extreme, too much. But normal people are already living inside too much. Too much rent, too much debt, too much medical cost, too much food inflation, too much work for too little stability. Too many politicians explaining why nothing can change while asking for another 2 years to prove it. Here is the pocketbook reality. The average family employer health insurance premium was nearly $27,000 in 2025. Workers contributed thousands of dollars toward that coverage before deductibles, copays, surprise bills, and denials even enter the room. Real average hourly earnings barely moved from March 2025 to March 2026. Food prices are still forecast to rise again in 2026. So when someone says these candidates are radical, ask yourself, compared to what? A hospital bill? A rent increase? A credit card rate? A grocery receipt? A political system where every problem gets explained, monetized, fundraised off of, and then passed back to you with interest. That is why this story matters. The Democratic establishment wants to make this a question of electability, but electability is one of the strangest words in American politics. It sounds scientific. It sounds responsible. It sounds like someone in a Navy suit has run the numbers and discovered democracy must be managed by people with terrible instincts and very expensive consultants. But often, electability just means, can donors live with this candidate? Can cable news explain this candidate? Can leadership control this candidate? Can the party raise money from people who prefer affordability as a slogan, not a confrontation? Because if voters hated lower medical bills, higher wages, stronger unions, affordable housing, and less corporate power, these candidates would not be drawing attention in the first place. The fear is not that people cannot understand the message. The fear is that people understand it too well. They understand that politics has been very good at naming their pain and very bad at threatening the people profiting from it. They understand that the economy can look strong on paper while life feels like one emergency away from collapse. They understand that a rising stock market does not pay the rent. A donor dinner does not lower the deductible. A consultant memo does not fill the fridge. And a politician saying, "We hear you," does not mean much if the bill is still due Friday.
So yes, this is a political story, but not the cheap kind, not the horse race, not the panel show.
Not the endless argument over whether the left has gone too far, while everyone carefully avoids asking how far the cost of living has already gone. This is a pocketbook story. It is about who gets to define realism, the people paying the bills, or the people paid to explain why the bills cannot change. The establishment says candidates like Platner, El-Sayed, Bush, and the broader working class left are risky. Maybe they are risky to the insurance company, risky to the landlord, risky to the billionaire donor, risky to the consultant who gets paid whether you win, lose, or quietly lower expectations. Risky to the arrangement where both parties talk about working people, but donors get the first draft. Risky to a media ecosystem that knows how to cover scandal, but forgets how to cover rent. But risky to you, that depends. If your life is working exactly as promised, maybe the establishment is right. But if your paycheck arrives already half spent, if your health insurance feels like a subscription to anxiety, if your rent rises faster than your wages, if your grocery bill keeps teaching you new forms of silence,
then maybe the radical thing is not the candidate saying change the system. Maybe the radical thing is the system insisting this is fine.
So when they say these candidates are too left, ask, too left of what? Too left of medical debt, too left of rent panic, too left of food prices, too left of a politics that treats working people like a photo opportunity and billionaires like stakeholders? The party says it wants to save democracy. Fine. But democracy cannot survive forever as a customer service department for people who already bought the economy. If Democrats want to save the union, the paycheck has to matter more than the donor call. The household bill has to matter more than the consultant memo. And ordinary people need to hear something more useful than be realistic, because realism for millions of people is already brutal. This has been the 8-hour workday. Clock out carefully. The bill is still running. Like and subscribe to Clock In. Click the video on your screen to stay ahead of the static. Mind the spin and mind who profits.